to Audit and Risk Management Committee meeting. Item 1, Members' Code of Conduct and Declarations of Interest. Do we have any?
Chair.
Yes.
I just wonder I should mention that I sat on pension committee on Monday, so I've already excused and recommended for approval of the item on the pension budget. So a person can stay here or not.
Item 2, minutes of the June meeting.
I've got a question of accuracy. I noticed that's what the agenda item is. However, in terms of minute 12 on the corporate risk register, just had a loss of where I might raise this elsewhere on the agenda. The resolution of the committee was that matters that the committee discussed, the additional risks that were discussed in June, I think were around safeguarding potential extra risks, extreme weather events and IT outages, which as it turns out seems to be a risk that's manifested itself. These were issues that we felt were worthy of consideration by Cabinet. So I've scoured Cabinet reports from our June meeting to tomorrow. I'm clear that our views have been communicated to Cabinet. It might be that the process is that it goes to the officers first and then on to Cabinet. There seems to be a delay, like, in considering some of the additional risks that we discussed at some length in June.
I recall, Chair, after the meeting, writing an email to Michael and the council to choose to pointing out that those other risks have been raised at the meeting. I'll address there to
Okay. Other than that, can we read minutes?
Chair, you move on. Can I point out for the members of the public that I myself are deputising for John Bale and Chicken Watts is deputising for Tony Cox this evening.
yes, with that, I am advertising for Councillor Abbey.
Thank you. Move on to item 3, presentation around the emergency plan. Mark.
Chair, thank you. Rather than me lean forward, I've probably not been picked up for having a quiet voice, so if it's okay, if you could all hear me, I will try and lean over here to get to the microphone, if that's okay. First of all, thanks very much, Chair and members. For those who don't know me, my name is Mark Campbell, and I'm the Senior Manager for Health, Safety and Resilience in the Council. And I was requested to come to this committee to give you a quick overview of emergency planning arrangements for the council, and also what we've got in place with our multi-agency partners, and also to cover some of the more up-to-date items of which Councillor Kelly's already raised. One of them was the ICT disruption, and just to talk about what we're trying to do around some of these things. I'm ready to give the committee, first of all, some confidence that the arrangements we've got in place are still robust enough to deal with the organisational changes that we're going through, but also to give members an opportunity to ask the questions that hopefully I'll be able to answer, but if not, to be able to come forward with those answers in the future. Okay. So, without further ado, I'll move on. What I'm going to cover today, if that's okay, is I'm going to talk a little bit about emergency planning, about the multi-agency arrangements through the Resilience Forum. I'm going to talk about Will Council emergency planning and what we've got in place now, and what we're doing to address the organisational changes and some of the changes in our service delivery. there was talk about a concept we put out there at the moment about using volunteers to assist us in responding to emergencies. And then I'm going to finish off the presentation with a little bit about business continuity and our business continuity arrangements. Okay, emergency planning, it covers a panacea of all emergencies, and what is an emergency and what is declared an emergency is very different, because we probably face emergencies and crisis daily during our normal lives. However, what I'm talking about today is when an emergency or a situation gets to such a point that a single agency probably is unable to deal with it without alerting and assisting other people to assist them in dealing with that situation. So we have an arrangement in place across Merseyside that's been there for a number of years, certainly since 2006, is a local resilience forum. All agencies, in terms of local authorities on Merseyside, sit around that table. It's chaired by a Deputy Chief Constable, and we meet on a regular basis, and we discuss items that are contained within the Merseyside Community Risk Register. The Merseyside Community Risk Register is a localised version of a national risk register. So every year the government gets together, they identify what are the top risks the country faces, and they ask each local resilience forum to view and review those risks with a local context. That register is available in a public version on the Merseyside Fire and Rescue's website, and if anybody wants me to direct them to that, I can do so via a link, via emails or something, but it is quite prominent on their home page. Within that community risk register, there are a range of risks that go from the extreme weather events and things of that nature, all the way up to things which are far more sort of unthinkable really, such as counter-terrorism type issues and things of that nature. Each risk has been given a single lead agency, and it's the responsibility of that lead agency to address that risk and to make sure that there are suitable arrangements in place to mitigate and deal with that risk as it goes forward. And that's all laid out within the community risk register, saying who the lead agency is, who you can contact to discuss the arrangements that are in place for those partners in dealing with these risks. So in terms of Merseyside, we've got those risks. They are given a rating. It is a multi-agency group that deals with it, and we feel that we address and that risk register on an annual basis is submitted to government and is given an approval that meets their criteria and they're satisfied with it. And on Merseyside, we certainly for the last few years have met that criteria. Within the community risk register, and to take account of the changes that are out there, I chair at the moment the working group that works to the LRF, and on that we come up with this new structure which basically deals with these four subgroups. So we have a hazard and risk group that is responsible for reviewing and producing the risk register. We then have a capabilities group which looks at all of the individual agencies and how collectively they have the capability to deal with and mitigate those risks should they occur. We have an exercising and validation risk group, and there's an annual programme produced of a range of exercises, of which I know some local councillors and board members have certainly gone and been observers on those type of exercises. Certainly if there's COMAR sites or chemical sites in their wards and such like, they'd be very interested in attending those. But we train and we work alongside our partners from the emergency services, and then we've got a group, a fairly new emerging group around warning and informing, and some of you committee members will have picked up in the broadsheets at the beginning of this week that the government's trialling things like automated messaging services that they have abroad to warn large populaces of people via mobile phone technology of an incident occurring in their area. And there's 3 or 4 pilot regions around the country that are trialling that. But on a very local level, the warning and informing group for ourselves deals with the website for the local resilience forum and about ensuring that existing communication chains and arrangements are aware of the arrangements for emergencies overtaking that. And Mersey Tunnel would be a good example. They have the ability to instruct your radio station to go through the tunnel to say there's something going on in there and you need to proceed left, right, stop the car or do whatever they ask you to do. So we've got 4 groups that look at that. We've been approached by central government. They're very pleased with the way we've approached this in terms of national sorts of accreditation. They think Merseyside and the way we've done our new approach to the group structure is the right way forward, and they're very interested in working with us from central government about whether they can share that learning out to other areas. And the final bit I just wanted to mention was that we call it the Bible for all responders, and it's going through a refresh as we speak at the moment. But please, to ensure that we have interoperability and a common communication method, because I'm an ex-military guy, and sometimes when we're talking to other agencies, even nowadays, we get into abbreviations and colloquialisms which, in times of emergency, get misinterpreted, and people can end up running in the wrong direction or doing the wrong thing. So we have a common response manual of which all commanders from sort of strategic gold level into tactical, into silver, down to the bronze level, the operational, they get trained on this response manual, so they understand the capabilities of all the partners, and they understand the language that we use. Now, I said all that, and I wouldn't want you for 1 minute to think that I'm suddenly running around trying to pretend I'm a fireman, a policeman, and I'm not. The local authority has a distinct role as a Category 1 responder, and that role is primarily around the humanitarian assistance support to these incidents and around the recovery element once the incident's over. So we let our partners do their work, we sit around the table, they explain to us what's going on, but in essence we let them get on with their job and we try and assist them in whichever way we can in those work themes. So that's the sort of county arrangements. How does that distill down into Wirral Council? Well, on the Wirral Council side, we have an all hazards plan. It's shared amongst a number of key officers within the organisation. The all hazards plan is a generic response plan to all incidents, and in essence, it brings together an emergency management team together to be able to deal with the situation that they're facing, or to consider that situation. The plan is renewed on a regular basis, and we have a key contact list, so home numbers, mobile numbers, office numbers of the key people within that plan. However, it's only right to point out that because we're refreshing the Merseyside Emergency Response Manual, we'll have to refresh our plan so that it links in and make sure that it's consistent with that approach. We have a list of all hazard response and activities which were very much directed towards individual departments and service areas. So we mapped out a range of incidents and response requests coming to the council, and we mapped them to a specific department. But with the changes that have been going on organisationally, we've been continuing to keep an eye on them to ensure that we've got the right people, the right number of people, the right number of agencies to be able to call or to respond to meet our partners' expectations in times of emergency. But like I said before, it's primarily around humanitarian assistance, best centres, support and recovery, which are more, apart from the recovery is certainly more longer term, the humanitarian assistance centre, where we've got a number of best centres since these organisational changes have been going on, and we certainly not had any issues with getting staff to respond. But it is something to note for this committee that as the numbers of people working for the organisation start to reduce, then there becomes an issue about how we back that up with alternative arrangements. That's why we moved on to the volunteer scheme, because we realised that there'll come a point in time where we haven't got enough directly employed staff, and we'll have to use partner agencies, third sector, etc., to assist us in that response. We're going through an audit process as well around those issues, and that's hopefully going to be finished. It's Jan 14 now. It should hopefully be finished by Jan 40, and then we'll be able to present back to the executive management team that these are the issues, these are the areas that give us a cause for concern and risk, or everything's absolutely fine and we've got no problems. And as we go forward, that will become more clear. I mentioned the Wirral Emergency Volunteer Scheme, and some of you will hopefully see the adverts that are out there. We've engaged with VCOR to assist us in doing this. And at the moment, we've got about 217 people who've registered on the website and said that they volunteer to be a WET, a vulnerability volunteer. What does that mean? What are we going to do? With our commitment to those individuals is that we will have a number of training sessions throughout the year. We'll equip them with some high visibility clothing, which we've managed to win a grant from an external source fund to pay for that. And we will be training them to undertake roles to assist us in meeting our goals in the wider emergency planning context. Those sort of roles that we're talking about, I've listed some of them here. So snow wardens, flood wardens, assistance in reception centres, help in clean-ups and such like. If there has been spillages or things of that nature, assisting severe weather. We've got Transport 44 clubs who've been knocking on our doors saying they'll come and help get wheels to people when we couldn't get them, if you remember that from only a year ago. We've got people now linked into assisting us in distributing bottled water and things of that nature. So in terms of the roles and in terms of the opportunities, I've listed only a few. The people that have come forward from our communities have been overwhelmed by some of the skills, some of the roles that they do in their own work, which they're willing to transfer and assist us in responding to emergencies to help real should they occur. So we've got our first of our induction sessions planned, or is just about the date's just to be launched, about planned to go ahead in November, where we'll be inviting the first tranche of these people to come forward, and they'll be, like I said, trained, given some equipment, and they give us, in return, they give us their mobile telephone number, and we will call them. There is no prerequisite responsibility on them to respond. They're volunteering, so we hope they would when the time comes we need it, but we can't force them to do that. And that's one of the deliberations that I have to make in terms of what arrangements we've got in place. But I have to say that that's been quite an exceptional response. I've been quite pleased with that, and the phone calls I've had off members of the community to assist us, I think that promises to grow into something of a greater strength as we move forward. Okay, my final bit, I said I'd talk a little bit about business continuity. We have a responsibility in my team to look at the corporate business continuity arrangements and to have a plan in place. That doesn't mean it's my responsibility every time the computers don't work and things don't work. My role is about trying to get people to prepare and be ready for contingency arrangements should things don't work. So we've undertaken a review of our critical functions. In terms of business continuity, there is a balance to be made by the council of what are critical services, because in times of crisis and emergency, we will not be able to deliver everything in its normality. We will have to concentrate on those areas of service delivery which are more critical in terms of direct life and health issues to the members of our communities. And we've got 20 odd of those critical functions. It wouldn't surprise this committee to know that the majority of them rest with our children and young people and our adults' social care side. We have a corporate business continuity plan which has been updated, which is in the process of being updated with current best practice. The current critical functions themselves are being requested and have begun the process of being requested to complete new templates, which make sure that with the staff changes that they've been going through, that they are taking account of those changes or the change of service delivery to ensure that those plans are still relevant and still in place and still robust and resilient enough. And then I suppose the larger or the more difficult aim and a more medium to long term aim is to try and ensure that business continuity gets further embedded in the council's culture. And you in this committee have heard those words and been involved with those words around risk management. Well, business continuity is just one element of that risk management process, but we need to have arrangements in place to obviously ensure that if something does go wrong, that we can pick up to an acceptable level and run a service or draw down a service in a controlled way. Okay, the final slide, or the final bit I wanted to speak speak about was to just really give it a little bit of feedback on 3 particular issues that have happened that have happened fairly recently. And they're not in any particular order, other than they're the ones that came to mind when I was reading through my emails, going through them. So the first one was the pipe bomb, and it always happens, this chair and members, when I'm away. I was coming back from France when I got the phone call to say there's a bomb on the beach was, and I said, oh, well, there's nothing new there then, because it's a fairly regular thing. He said, no, it's a pipe bomb. And I was racking my brain thinking the last time I met pipe bombs was when I was getting out of the army and I was down in Chamonix, and they were taking us to an old World War II film with Bangalore torpedoes, which are the things that used to blow the barbed wire fence and were really long. Anyway, there I was thinking, gosh, well, I'm down in Folkestone because I've just come through the tunnel. I'm speaking to my team back on the Wirral saying, there's a bomb. They said, Mark, we've got it all in hand, everything's sorted, we've got the arrest centre set up, the emails have gone out to the councillors, the police are happy, we've had a goal meeting, everything seems to work. And I think, I've got to say, that's testimony to the team, the amount of training they do with the other agencies, and I hope that was seen from the elected members' side, that whilst there was quite a high-profile event going on that we wouldn't wish on anyone, and I'm not going to get into the ins and outs of the police investigation into that, the response to that, there's a bomb, was dealt with in a very professional way, and the residents that were looked after in the rest centre and such like were all very complimentary of the council staff in doing so. So there was testimony that the plans and the testing and the arrangements we've got in place do work. There was the fire at the Major's site over the weekend, and I raised this one because there's a fire at Major's waste site down on Bridge Road, down next to the that on a fairly regular basis, and ward councils will know that is the case. We were called out really just to support the fire service because the transfer station itself is an Environment Agency regulated service. The council has little in terms of what it can do to regulate or enforce the site owner to undertake various actions. But the fire service were very keen to show a united front with our colleagues from the police themselves and United Citizens, etc. There's a meeting being arranged by Paul Murphy, District Manager, in a couple of weeks' time, where we're going to bring the Environment Agency in with the site owner to try and go through what we can do to try and prevent these fires happening again. Because what I do need to say is there is a real concern from the fire services side that the reduction in appliances on the Wirral and the bonfire night coming up, that if a fire of that nature which drains so many resources to try and put it out because it's slow burning over a long time, it causes them issues. And then the final one, which was putting the other two aside, which probably had the ability to harm and kill people, which fortunately neither of them did. We came to the one that caused me the most amount of time and grief through the last few months, which was the disruption of the council's IT side. You may or may not be aware that we had a spike in the national grid. The spike in the national grid caused part of the power supply or a contact on the power supply to break. In breaking and cutting the current, that led to a problem on the servers, which in very simplistic terms led to a corrupt data route, which has caused some problems. There is issues with the server rooms in terms of its resilience. We've grown and modified and changed the computer server rooms in the Treasury buildings over a number of times with a lot of investment, a lot of infrastructure changes. But this has highlighted the issue that there is an issue with the power supply and protecting the power supply into those servers. I've been meeting with Tony Blue, I've been meeting with our electrical engineers, and I've said that we've been asked by Claire Fish to a briefing report back into executive team with a range of options about what we can try and do to prevent one happening again, and two, the options on a wider context around that server room. But I need to say to you now, we have an infrastructure that if any, and I'm not by any stretch of the imagination a computer expert, but in terms of starting from scratch and people looking at that server situation, it is not an ideal situation. It's been in that situation for a long time. Like I said, we've invested heavily to try and protect it. But if you were to start from scratch, you wouldn't end up with what you've got there now. So there is work taking place. There's work taking place as I speak now. The electrical engineers have got out and got some electrical people in to start putting plans in place to make the power feed more resilient again. But there will be a number of options that ultimately council will have to decide, probably, or certainly cabinet will have to decide whether they want to go down those lines on those options. So I'll leave it at that point. What I would also say, however, with the ICT disruption is it also raised a number of concerns with departments that the plans that we've been talking to them about having in place, suddenly when the IT goes down, that really does test, because we become so heavily reliant on that. You know, when I said things on, we'll go back to your paper backup system, they looked at me as if I was speaking a foreign language, because they've been forgotten. Because we get so used to being able to turn these things on and being there all the time. So it's a bit of a refresh for ourselves. We're looking at that as well. So it's a bit of a two-pronged approach, yes. So that's my whistle stop tour, Chair. I'm happy to take any questions on anything there.
Thank you, Mark. Any questions?
Sort of, in terms of governmental thinking and things on the horizon, I remember anyone going back to all the work around pandemics, wasn't it, around types of flu, bird flu, and so on. And I just wonder, you know, we do all that work, and then suddenly we go out of fashion almost, or the risk lessons or circumstances change. Are there any things coming through on the horizon scan that we should know about to prepare for, and those plans for a major epidemic are still in place, I take it? Will they have to be revised just in case it happens without any forewarning? That sort of thinking and logic.
Chair, if I may. First of all the work that's done around the pandemic flu planning is still absolutely in place. It's still the number one risk faced by the country as far as they're concerned. So as much as you hear in the papers about terrorism risks and things of that nature, the biggest risk facing the country at the moment is a pandemic, because statistically, yeah, we're going to face one soon. Yes, there's nothing that I'm saying that's out there now in terms of it's such an alarm, but it's the number one risk. The plans are still in place. We still test them on a fairly frequent basis. In terms of emergent risks coming on, well, they really are Star Wars type risks. The two bigger risks to the country nowadays are, one is cyber attack. So in terms of the IT resilience and in terms of the telecom resilience, and we at local authorities might say, well, cyber attack hasn't really us, is it? It's not going to affect us, but it absolutely could. We're talking about sensitive information going out, and we're talking about lack of ability to gain and recover from a cyber attack. And then the other one is the new emerging risk is the risk of an interruption to international and local travel, and they're very much looking at the moment about things such as star flashes and things of that nature. So that's the emerging risk coming on. However, what I would say is star flashes is the right terminology. Some flares. Thank you, John. Thank you very much. Some flares. In terms of local risks, our local risks are the same as what they often are, which is severe weather and the changing climate that we're dealing with and the interruption that has on us. The new ones coming on more to the fore at the moment seems to be potential industrial action and the impact that may have on services. And you may have picked up that there's going to be the first of the fire service strikes later this month, 4 hours strike. So they're the two that really are causing locally us more, we're spending more time looking at those than the other ones that are there.
Thanks, Chair. First of all, can I just say thanks very much for the presentation. It has highlighted a lot of things that is on council's mind, actually, when going to the strategic shift and everything else, and what is happening around this area, if there is an emergency. As it is, we've had a few emergencies which is highlighted, and as you quite rightly said, it's shown us not wanting it, we've reacted really well to it. councils were not phoned up and told what was happening, I couldn't actually say to the member of the public what is happening because I didn't know myself. I agree you couldn't get in touch with us on the computer because it's down, but you've got phone calls. I think the first thing that needs to do, or one of the things that needs to do, is for councillors not just to be told what is actually happening, because we are, after all, first port of call for the members of the to ask questions. It makes us look bad if we don't answer.
Chair, can I just come up on the last point about that? I couldn't agree more with messages going out was a particular problem. The reality is that our telephone network, telephone system is linked into our ICT system. So when we talk about, we then rely on fixed line telephones, of which we have some, so there are a number of fixed line telephones, but I need to say that those fixed line telephones are in places, are being designed to be in places where critical services can still use the phone to get out to people in great need. So I'm by no means saying that we didn't get the messages out quick enough, because it was a moving piece during the day. As often with these IT problems, it could be something that could be fixed very quickly, yeah. So therefore the message coming out, but it was protracted in the day, and we realised very close to the end of the day that this isn't going to be solved in a short space of time, and that's when the sort of plan kicked in, I suppose. But I do take on board your point, the messages getting out to people.
I think it's fair to talk about the I think it just occurs to me when you talk about cyber attack and IT outage, it was such a fairly lucky in the sense that the incidents that were single incidents dealable with as isolated, if you like, incidents. When you test the plan, I appreciate you when you say go back to your pen and paper. When you test the plan, do you test it on the basis that you have no IT in it, two simultaneously occurring incidents that actually cause quite a lot of damage? It's only by luck in the sense that the pipeline wasn't covered, for example, with the IT outage. How would that have affected our response? Are we able, or are you able, the planning and the accesses of the plans, to be able to drop back to a pen and paper and telephone attached to a wall,
It's a complicated answer, Councillor Kelly, you'd expect me to say. It's going to be, isn't it? First of all, we have in the contacts directory, we have key contact numbers for people which include mobile phones, fixed landlines and no phone numbers. So we were able to communicate with people by mobile phone to mobile phone because the IT didn't affect that. So there's that element. We also do have a radio system to the police from our CCTV control room, which allows us to communicate on the airway patterns with those directed if we need to do so. We do test simultaneously occurring and domino effect type issues, but it's as all these things, it's an altogether more difficult scenario doing it around the tabletop with a lot of people in it than it is actually when you're going through it. And I often say that we could have 1,000,001 plans up there written involving us to completely build this whole room, but ultimately there's an old, sorry, I'm putting my army hat on again, there's an old army saying that the best constructed plan survives the first contact with the enemy, and it ultimately never does. So I think, and the methodology of our emergency planning arrangements are making sure we can get the key people into a room together to start getting out of the discussions, because then things can start to happen, and making sure we have sufficient number of abilities to communicate to the other partners should those fail. We have two satellite phones, so in terms of resilience around that, we have it. But have we tested a complete catastrophe? We did a blackout exercise. David will remember. We did an exercise of a national blackout. So you'll have seen the films, and we sat around the table and said, well, okay, we've got nothing now. What would happen? And what would happen is that the senior managers of the organisation would get together in a room sometime, and they would start to determine from our critical, our pre identify critical activities, what are the ones we're going to concentrate on, given the scenario we're facing. And those service areas have worked on plans leading up to that point. So whilst they may not be absolutely able to deal with every element, they'll have some generic bits that will assist us in getting our services back up and running. I can't give any more comfort than that, I suppose.
Okay, any more questions?
Very good.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much.
Very informative. Item 4, general audit.
This is a regular report that provides members with information relating to the delivery of the internal audit service between the 1st of June through to the 31st of August 2013. This report concentrates on identifying any items and notes or items escalated from one report that require the attention or direct action by members. Identify performance data relating to the internal service and identify developments that could have been taken to improve the way in which we deliver the service. Members' attention is specifically drawn to section 2.2 of the report, where a number of items and notes were identified and include the findings of an audit conducted of the risk management systems and operation, where a number of areas of improvement were identified and minimal assurance had been provided. The Strategic Director for Transformation Resources and the Chief Exec Strategy Group responded very positively to the findings of the report, and the actions have, or a number of actions have already been taken to improve some of the arrangements in place. These include a revisiting of the corporate risk register, implementing scheduled quarterly reporting to the Chief Exec Strategy Group. In addition, the Chief Exec Strategy Group have also provided a very firm commitment to implement all the actions identified and will be monitoring progress on its implementation through regular scheduled meetings. We are intending to do some follow-up work, and this has been scheduled for November this year. Findings will be reported in the monthly summary reports to members. In addition, there's an item in relation to the findings and audit conducted of the arrangements in place to manage a contract with the service provider under the shared life scheme. This piece of work was conducted at the request of gas seeking management, who would undertake an internal inspection to identify there was some concern regarding the robustness of their system in place. The audit that we undertook identified a significant number of internal control issues covering all aspects of the contract monitoring and management, providing the minimum assurance of the control system in place. Gas management again reacted extremely positively to the reports. They provide various assurances that all the actions will be implemented within the agreed timescales, including some that have taken effect immediately. Furthermore, they also advise that they take immediate steps to implement actions identified in the reports across all of the contracts to ensure that robust and consistent processes remain in place across the whole department. Again, we have work scheduled to follow up this piece of work in January 2014. Again, we'll advise the members of the progress being made by the department to address all the issues, and we'll bring an update report back to the January committee. Members' attention is also drawn to section 2.3 of the report, where a table identifying information relating to those audits or recommended actions included in all audit reports not currently been implemented. The actual table is actually attached to the appendix 1 of the report. It is my intention to continue to include this table as an attachment to the report on a routine basis. It draws attention to those items that are not addressed so that members can take any appropriate actions that they feel is appropriate. Included in the table follows what was a very detailed discussion at a previous meeting of this committee, and hopefully allows us to address member concerns regarding them retaining sight of these issues and ensuring that any issues flagged by internal audit attention also are not overlooked or left. Section 2.4 of the report identified the improvements that have been made to deliver the internal audit service as part of our overall plan. Good progress has been made. Of the 18 actions that I identified on my appointment, 14 have now been delivered. The remaining 4 are in progress and are within the timescale. In addition to the delivery of the internal audit plan, a number of other initiatives are currently underway. This will sort of allow us to continue to develop and move forward and improve the effectiveness of the overall service. These are identified in section 2.5b. Members are requested to note the report and take whatever actions they deem appropriate. I'm happy to take any questions.
Questions? Sure.
In terms of the social services, shared life scheme and the hopefully being introduced and subject to review. My guess is that it's the review points really that we should start to get upset if there hasn't been that level of process. But we'll just say simply, I mean, correspondence with the constituents who pursue and advising against social services, which will get into a lot of those council boards. But also complaints, there's a complaint that my constituent received 20 minutes of care for search and providing, that's what she's talking about. But the department was charged for an hour. I managed to brought to the attention of the department. Their response was, as it all took place over a year ago, rather than pursuing the affair. Well, to me, that's unsatisfactory in the sense, shows a mindset, possibly in parts of the department, which is leading to the sort of thing that we find in this particular context. So I'm not going to pursue that any further at this meeting. But just a picture of the mindset. So we look forward, I think, in 20 for the progress review. I think it's at that point that we should have something to say more than we have in progress. On the subject there, having looked at the appendices and those areas where reviews have taken place, I would say that I'm disappointed to see that there's little progress. In my view, I've looked at them in two specific areas. First one is the publishing of public sector information, which is on page 18 on the supplementary agenda. It strikes me that seems to be the action on the revised recommendations doesn't seem to have moved on from the initial review to the subsequent review, and now it's up for review again. It was actually down to August, so the second one on the course of the last committee is because the mobile phones, again, just seems that we've got the same feedback on the review of how the recommendations that were already made originally are being done, but not being done. It just seems that the drift is being allowed to set it on those two particular ones. So I'll raise those two specifically because they are being important to us as the outcome of a further review rather than the initial review. More often than not, I'm happy that problems are identified in initial reviews. I'm happy that to bed in and people to take ownership. But where ownership isn't taken, and we can talk about it at one committee in June, and it's in front of us again at another committee in September, I start to get concerned